Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Kubeir. Okay, so the subject of today's video is, have you ever realized or thought that Canada is actually not for you? Maybe you shouldn't think about Canada. Maybe it won't make any sense, or you're just probably wasting your time, your money, your effort, which could be better utilized elsewhere. So today's video is about that. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because, and I know a lot of people are not going to like it. A lot of my colleagues who are in the same profession or same business that I am in, and a lot of them actually make a living out of the fact of telling people that yes, it will work for you, yes, it will work for you, when actually it will not work for you. They will not like it either. A lot of you will feel that maybe I do not know what I'm saying, or maybe I do not know what I'm talking, which is also quite a possibility. And you are absolutely free to do your check. And that is what I'm going to encourage you to do: your due diligence, to do your checks, to do your research before you make that decision. I'm in Dubai at the moment, and I've been here for almost now 2 months, and I have met so many people, so many people doing one-on-one consultations. Not only that, because I do a lot of consultations, and I am an ICCRC licensed immigration consultant. A lot of people do reach out to me at different times, different ways, online, virtual consultations as well, to check if they are eligible, to check if they have a chance, to check how soon can they get to Canada, to check what are their options, to check how does their profile suit a certain provincial nominee program or express entry for that matter. And you know what? In most cases, I only have to give them a brutal and an honest answer and tell them, maybe you should look at something else. Maybe this is not going to work for you. Now, when I'm saying this, you have to also keep in mind that there is a small caveat there. If tomorrow a miracle happens and Canadian government suddenly wakes up and decides, okay, I'm going to call everybody, then it's a different thing, right? Then I'm absolutely wrong and everybody else is absolutely right. But the chances of that happening, you and I both know, are, they did that for Canadian experience class. They did it for CEC. They did it on the 13th of February. 27,332 ITAs were sent out. But that was a different reason. There was a different plan. There was a different category of people. Does it apply to everybody? Absolutely not. Do they have any reason to invite everybody in the express entry pool? No. So think and think hard. Is Canada really for you? Do you really think it's worth wasting your time, money, effort on pursuing this dream? What does it cost? It costs you to do your ECA, whether you do it through WES, IQAS, ICES, ICAS, or whatever. If you don't get your desired equivalency, you probably will do it again, or you will go to a different agency. So money spent and effort spent and a lot of anxious moments spent. Then, of course, IELTS. Let's not even get started on IELTS, because and a lot of people call IELTS a scam. A lot of people call IDP or whichever institution is arranging the exams, call it a scam because they are not able to score. We are not going to get into that. That's not a debate to have today, because this video is not about that. But this is about you spending a lot of money trying to sort of, get your IELTS results. And let's say you get your CLB 9. And then you realize the score is still not high enough, okay? And this is particularly the case with people who have crossed that 32, 33, 34, 35 years of age, okay? I'm not even getting to past 35 because that is a different ballgame altogether, all right? So if you've crossed that 33, 34, 35 age, you will very quickly realize that your scores, if you do not have masters, your scores are going anywhere in the range of 420s or 420s approximately. Even if you have a CLB 9, you get a CLB 10, okay, 12 more points you can add to that, but you are still coming nowhere close to 430s or 440s, okay? Then master's degree. If you are of the age 33, 34, 32, whatever you want to call it, or 30s, and you have a master's degree and you have a CLB 9, even then your scores are stuck in 460s, okay? Unless you have a sibling, unless there are some other factors, and then that's a different ballgame. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the vast majority of people out there. You're stuck there. However, you have few options, and we are going to talk about those options. You have a few options, whether it's Ontario, whether it's Saskatchewan. Well, you have an option. If you have a master's degree, you have a CLB 8, CLB 9, you have 10 years of work experience in the same NOC code, you have options. So we can talk about that. But let's say you've crossed 35 Let's say you have a master's degree. Let's say you have CLB 9, probably not CLB 10. What are your options? How does it look like then? Let's say you don't have CLB 9. What are your options? You are struggling in score of 350s, 360s, 370s, 410s, 420s, 430s. What are your options? For all of you out there, your options are very, very limited. And this, my friend, is the ugly truth. This, my friends, is the bitter truth. When I'm saying your options are limited, trust me, I'm trying to be polite, okay? Because I would hate to say that you have no options, because there is always an option, right? And that's what the whole life is all about: options, possibilities, positivity. And that's what I would also like to go with. But the options and the possibilities here now are very, very limited, and they're going to cost you money, and a lot of money, okay? And if anybody out there, any agent, any consultant out there is telling you differently, mind you, in most cases, they are lying to you, because भाई उनकी दुकान चलती है, उनका धंधा चलता है, it's their business, they need to make money, right? They have sales staff, they have big offices, they have flashy offices. How are they going to pay their rent if they're not going to tell you that, and if they won't get you to pay their registration fee or whatever fee they want to call it? So let's go through it in details, and after this, I would like you to go onto the IRCC website, do your own check your eligibility, check your CRS score, check every single PNP that I'm going to talk about, check honestly, earnestly check what your options are, and then think about continuing this dream, or think of a different dream where you can spend your effort, time, money, and probably have a more promising outcome. So first things first, if at all you're stuck for options, the first option is going to be French, and that, my friends, is going to be the cheapest option. Well, yes, PNPs are there, and I'm going to come to PNPs in a bit, but I'm talking about people who have even exhausted PNP options. Or you know what, let's switch it around. Let's first go with the PNP options. Okay, so with the PNP options, the first thing is for people who are below the age of 35, but have still managed to get their CLB 9s and 10s, have a master's degree. What is going to be a score looking like? Your score is probably going to be looking like in the range of 450s high, 460s high, give or take few, because I'm not going to run the exact number here, but give or take. You could have a possibility for an invitation from Ontario, but you're restricted with their NOC codes. So if your NOC code is not the one that is requested or required by Ontario, then Ontario is out of the question. This goes out to especially candidates who are in the regulated professions. You're a doctor, you're a dentist, you're a teacher, you're a lawyer. Okay, your professions are regulated, and the chances of those being in demand in most of the provinces are very, very limited, unless something happens out there. So think hard before you put in too much of money into this whole process. So if your NOC is not listed in demand in Ontario, and there are not too many NOCs, if you have IT skills, information technology, your 2172, 2173, 2174, 2175, 2147, 0213, well, you all already are aware of your tech draws that happens with Ontario. Alternatively, if your NOC codes are in Ontario, I think they have accountant, they have some financial NOC codes, they have certain business occupations as well. If your NOC codes are one of those, then okay, fair enough. You have something to look forward to in terms of, will Ontario reduce their CRS range? Now, mind you, Ontario's CRS range is always, until now, I mean, so far that's what we have seen, is linked, and it is played in tandem with the express entry federal skilled worker draw, unless if they're doing a CEC draw. So if it is working in tandem with the federal skilled worker draw, as you've already seen the last 4 or 5 draws that Ontario has conducted in their human capital priority stream, the high range was stuck at 467. So everybody who had a better score than 467 still didn't get invited. Why? Because the last federal skilled worker or all program draw that happened, which was on the 23rd of December, was with a score of 468. So Ontario plays always with one below that last draw, and therefore the subsequent draws have been with 467 and then how many ever invitations they could issue. Therefore, that became the lower cutoff. That's how it has been played out so far. Going by that, keep in mind the draws are always dependent upon how many invitations they want to issue, and at that point of time, how many profiles are there in the express entry pool who they think could be eligible. Okay, so that is basically how the draws are conducted. If your score is on the lower side, now we're going to talk about 450s, all right, 450s. So if you're in 460s, there is, and your CRS score, sorry, your NOC code is, primary knock code is one that is eligible in Ontario. Okay, you have a possibility, you have a chance, right? So I will give it to you. Keep your hopes high, keep your chin up, do whatever you can to get that CLB 9 to CLB 10. Even if you can improve 3 points in one factor, 6 points in two factors, or whatever you can do to increase your CLBs, do it, because then you would come within the range that Ontario can pick you, all right? But for everybody else who is now coming on this side, let's say you are 450s, okay? Not into 460s, now you're into 450s. If you're in the higher 450s, again, there is a bit of that hope that you pin on it that you never know, Ontario might suddenly issue some extra invitations, and therefore hope keeps you going. But now come to the reality factor, right? The meat of the things. If you're in the 455s and below, what do? Yeah, do you have a hope there? It's anybody's call. But now this is where the things start getting difficult, because this is where you start getting frustrated, irritated, upset, because it's not working. And it's normal, because you have spent so much of time. People keep telling you to wait. And very soon your birthday comes and you lose 5 more points, and now you're coming to the 440s. Now what are you going to do? Options. Okay, Ontario is out of the way. The next good option would become Saskatchewan. Okay, now Saskatchewan has 2 streams. One is OID, occupation in demand. The next one, or rather the other one, is express entry. Both these streams come under the International Skilled Worker Program. These are the sub-streams. The difference between the two is that OID stream does not need you to have an express entry profile. This is for people who cannot create an express entry profile. Maybe they're not eligible in express entry because they cannot score the 67 points. But if you have express entry profile, you will probably come under the express entry stream of the Saskatchewan ISW International Skilled Worker Program. The requirement that Saskatchewan has is that you should have 10 years of, okay, now the reason I'm saying requirement is because we are talking about trying to score high. We are not talking about the eligibility requirement. If you want to talk about the eligibility requirements, etc., please go to my other video, which talks more in detail about that. This video is all about options and scores and the ranges. So don't catch me as to you don't need 10 years, you need less. Okay, I know you don't need 10 years, but if you really need to score well in Saskatchewan, this is what an ideal profile looks like. You need to have 10 years of continuous work experience as of date, going backwards 10 years in one NOC code, in the same National Occupation Classification Code. You cannot, I understand over a period of 10 years, you may have progressed, you may have got promoted, you may, have jumped, positions. Your occupation code has to be the same. Very restrictive. I don't like that, but it's not me who's making the program, right? So only if you have work experience in the same occupation code, then you claim points for 10 years of work experience. The second factor which gets you is they don't need CLB 9. So even if you have CLB 8, excellent, good for you. The third factor is the master's degree. These 3, the combination of these 3, and the fourth one I'm coming to, the combination of these 3s will get you the high points. The fourth one is your age. As long as you are until 34 of age and below, you will get the highest points as far as Saskatchewan is concerned, therefore getting you a maximum of 70 points if you do not have other factors, for example, French, for example, adaptability points, for example, relatives in Saskatchewan, or job offer. So those get you additional points. We're not talking about that because we're talking about the vast majority out there. So the maximum you can score is 70 points if you do not have any of those connections. Whoever follows the Saskatchewan trend already knows that 70 is a good score. The chances of 70 getting picked is quite high because 70 has been rallying for quite some time. So you're good. If your knock is in demand, because obviously Saskatchewan also has certain occupations which they do not consider in demand. They already have a long list of occupations that have been exempted. So if you are one of those, then it's unfortunate, right? It's not going to happen. Also, look at the past trends. With Saskatchewan, even if your occupation is not listed under the exempted knock codes, or rather the ones which will not be called, look at the past scores, look at the past draws. When was the last time your occupation was picked up? You will realize it may not have been happening quite often, okay? What are the chances for Saskatchewan at 69, 68, 67, 66, 65, etc., etc., etc.? Now, very quickly, how many times has 69 being picked up? A few times, all right? So even if you are at 69, I would say we have a hope to work with. But when it comes to 68 and 67, now you're already on those very, very borderlines with 68. And when does it 68? When do you come to 68? 68 would happen if, let's say, you have crossed the age of 34, or you've become 35, 36. You would lose 2 points for age. You have a master's degree, CLB 8, CLB 9. You have 10 years of work experience, same knock, but now your score has come to 68. What are the chances? And then once you start coming below that, maybe you do not have CLB 8, you have CLB 7, then the scores come down. You do not have a master's degree, you have a bachelor's, your scores come down further. You don't have 10 years of work experience eligible, you have 9 years, 8 years, 7 years, your scores keep dropping down. Until now, how many times has 67 hit? Probably once. I don't even think it's come twice. I think only once, but I'll have to go back to the draws and data and history and see how long. I think only once. How many times has 68 hit? 2 to 4 times, not more than that. It happened in 2018 twice. It happened in 2019. It happened twice. It happened last year late also, and that was specifically for 4 occupation codes of IT: 2172, 2173, 74, and I think 75. I don't remember on top of my head, but yes. And did it happen again? I think once again after that. But you see how far in between that was. 68, how far in between? Can you pin your hopes to that? Well, if there is nothing else, then yes, leave your profile there. Once you have crossed 35, until the time you turn 45, your score is going to remain the same. As long as you have CLB 8, as long as the ECA is valid for your master's degree, as long as you continue to have 10 years of experience, your score is going to remain the same. So that gives you almost 10 years to expect a score of 68 if you have crossed the age of 35, right? Because you've dropped 2 points from 70 now to 68. So you have that period of time for you to pin your hopes on Saskatchewan, provided your knock is picked up, provided this, provided that, and all those factors. But what is the other reality? Now that's all. Saskatchewan then invites you, you submit your application, and then on it goes. And Saskatchewan takes excruciatingly long time to give you their nomination. A lot of people go into PIU, which is Professional Integrity Unit. Applications get refused because they did not choose the right knock code. Proof of funds is another problem there. But again, all those are other factors which go into the eligibility. Let's not talk about that. So this is Saskatchewan for you. Are you eligible, not eligible? Can you score? Can you not score? Do you have same knock code over the last 10 years? Not possible for a lot of people, but all these factors you need to consider. If it works for you, excellent. If it doesn't, then what? I have it written down over here. PNPs that people fool you with. They will make a I'm trying to think of a polite word. All right, the people who try to sort of take you out for take a Mickey out of you. Prince Edward Islands. Almost every agent in India, when they're trying to sell you the Canadian dream and tell you it will happen for you because they will make it happen for you, आपकी फाइल लॉन्च कर देंगे प्रिंस एडवर्ड आइलैंड्स में, आपकी फाइल लगा देंगे ओंटारियो में. हाँ, I mean, like really, those people you should ask, what is your success rate? Show me how many of your previous clients have actually got picked up in Prince Edward Islands. How many of them have been invited in Prince Edward Islands? What was the score? What was the knock code? And then very quickly you will realize they will start giving you different stories. Okay, why? Because Prince Edward Islands, my friends, is it is the smallest province in Canada. It has the smallest number of quota, and by and large, they do not invite people who are outside the province because they want to give the preference to people who are inside the province, who are working in the province, who are studying in the province, who have job offers. Because you see, when you go to any provincial nominee quotas, their quotas are cumulative or collective. For example, if Prince Edward Island has a quota of 1100 or 1200, that is for all their programs, not only for people who are under certain stream. So it is for all their programs, and that is for 1 year. So just think about it. If aapki file Prince Edward mein lag sakti hai, and if they can get you into Prince Edward Islands, why not so many 100,000 other people? Express entry pool as of today is at 160 some thousand profiles. Why can't all of this go to Prince Edward Islands? Why can't all of them get selected in Prince Edward Islands? I mean, think before you spend money. Think before you pay that money to those guys, right? So Prince Edward Islands, my friends, until now, in all the talking that I do and all the research that I do, I know of only 2 people who have been invited under Prince Edward Islands program, who are not inside Prince Edward Islands and who did not have any connection, any work experience, any job offer with PEI. All right, only 2. Okay, go look at any social media forum. Go look at our Facebook groups. Go look at our WhatsApp groups, or whichever groups you want to look at. Find out anybody who has got an invitation from PEI. It has to be a rarity. Now, are you going to pin your hope on that rarity, or are you going to get sold and spend so much of money on a rarity? You may as well buy a lottery ticket. Probably you'll get lucky with that and make some money on that instead of doing this. Okay. Now that's PEI for you. Another one which people are usually fooled with is the Alberta province. Alberta has a great nominee program, AINP. And if you look at their draws, if you look at lots of social media accounts of consultants, agents, Alberta is on top of how they advertise, is because Alberta invites people with scores of 300 CRS. 300, that's the criteria that they give. 300 CRS is what they invite people at. So if you're an express entry, your score is 300, you can get invited. That's what you would like to understand and assume. Yes, Alberta also has a list of NOC codes that they do not wish to bring in, and they have listed them in. So you can check if your NOC code is one of those. You definitely are not going to get called by Alberta. But what about everybody else? Everybody else has a hope that Alberta will invite them. But every time there is a draw at 300, 2, 304, 310, 20, 30, 40, 50, people start thinking, why didn't they get an invitation? Because, hello, Alberta just did a draw. I am in the pool. My score is 370, 380, 390. I should get a draw. I should get an invite. Why didn't I get it? Because Alberta never, ever announces their occupation that they have called, or the NOC codes that they have invited. They have never, ever published them. They never, ever announced them. So you don't really know who's getting invited, number one. Second, you do not know what their exact criteria for selecting these profiles is. They never announce them. They never tell you that. So how do you know? Yeah. Well, until some time back, Alberta's occupation codes we knew by experience: 1311, 1215, 2132, 6311. 6221, and these NOC codes I know on top of my head because these have been our clients, and I know them because we got invited from Alberta. My own son, he got invited by Alberta, and he is now in Alberta. He's working over there now. He got he got through the provincial nominee program from Alberta. His score was 435. But then pandemic happened. Coronavirus came in its full force. And Alberta's premier announced last year that they will no longer be processing applications for people who are not in Alberta. Okay, so they're not only in Canada, not in Alberta. So if you're not in Alberta, they will not process your application. They will not consider you. So all those people whose applications were in process, they had already received invitations. They were all gone. All right. After that, I haven't heard of many people getting invitations from Alberta. Yes, on our Facebook group, there were some people who said they have been invited. I do not know where it went or how many of them got successful with that or not. But as of right now, Alberta has not officially announced change of that policy to say, okay, can we hope something from Alberta? But again, it will be a hope because all they do is invite 200, 300, 400 profiles at one point of time. and all they tell you is the CRS score is 300, 302, 304, 305. That's it. That's the only information you get from them. You know how many people are there in the express entry pool with scores of more than 300,000, more than 300? That is probably more than 100,000 people are in the express entry pool with scores of 300 plus. So who's going to get, who's not going to get? Another lottery ticket that you probably want to buy and you probably will be lucky with. But if you already have an express entry profile, if you have IELTS, if you have your ECA, there is no harm in making a profile and leaving it there. You never know, you can always get lucky. Now, Alberta is done, Prince Edward Islands is done, we have finished Ontario, we have finished Saskatchewan. Now let's get to the more meatier ones. Who else is remaining? Okay, because the reason why I'm going through all the PNPs and I want to explain that to you is because people always say, can we consider PNP as if, you want to consider PNP or PNP has to consider you? First, get that right. You want to now check with options of PNP. How many PNPs are out there who are waiting to invite you? Think, check, research, figure out before you pay any money to all these buggers out there who are just waiting to grab your money. So the next province that we're going to talk about is Nova Scotia. Okay, now Nova Scotia, I love Nova Scotia as a province in the sense they had such a great program called Category B. Now, Category B does not mean that they were inviting only the knock Bs or skill type B. No, it just was a name of a category. Category A was people who had a job offer. Category B was people who did not have a job offer. And they would occasionally open the doors for this province, for this particular program, and hundreds and thousands of people would try to log in. Something similar to what happened with the new immigration pathway just few days, just on the 6th of May, something similar to that, the doors would be open, everybody would try to log in and try to submit their application. The last that I heard of the program was in 2018. Nothing happened in 2019, nothing happened in 2020. Eventually in 2020, they came out and officially said that Category B has been closed, no more. So what does Nova Scotia do? Nova Scotia now invites people from the express entry pool based on their labor market priority. So depending on what they feel is the requirement of the day, they will come out, pick profiles from the express entry pool, send them invitations. Which profiles? What will be the criteria? Which knock code? What will be the CRS score? What extra would they be looking for? We don't know. Again, buy another lottery ticket and probably you'll be lucky with that. But the knock codes that have been invited so far by Nova Scotia, 1111, 1114. They did invite early childhood educators. They did invite carpenters. They also, who else did they invite? Nurses. Yeah. So, and I think one or two more knock codes they have invited over the last 2-3 years. They do it once or twice or thrice at max, not even thrice. And then of course they will invite some French speakers as well. So this is collectively the Nova Scotia program, unless of course you get a job offer from an employer, then that changes the whole ball game. Okay. What else have we got? Newfoundland and Labrador. Now Newfoundland and Labrador historically has been a province which will usually invite only those people who have a job offer from an employer in Canada, all right, or who have work experience or who have studied in the province. Now, early this year, in January of this year, they invited people under several other categories, and they were this was the first province which actually allotted or assigned more points if you were older. So until 35 of age, you would get 10 points. After 35 of age, you get 12 points. This is not, please don't get me wrong, this is not the exact points, I'm just giving you on top of it. So they will give you more points if you were older. Well, hats off to them because they acknowledged the experience, they acknowledged your maturity. Not everybody is looking at that. But what happened then? All the YouTubers came out, we all announced, we all spoke about it, we all discussed, and bang. That program closed so fast that people didn't even get a chance to react to it. They had about 350 slots which got snapped. So far I haven't heard of anybody being invited, but that program closed because they got overwhelming response to that program because the knock codes were pretty good. They were very, very nice. They were engineers. They were, of course, IT professions. They were aquaculture occupations, pretty good occupations there. So all of them got, so that program closed. The problem is there are agents out there who are still using that advertisement or the article of Newfoundland and trying to fool people into saying, we will get you into this Newfoundland program. Hello, it's closed. How will you get them anybody in there? But people are getting fooled. People are buying into it. Actually, I spoke to somebody this morning and it got me so angry. And that's when I decided to do this video today. He actually paid 2 lakh Indian rupees to an agent. Obviously, I cannot take the name, because somebody promised them that Newfoundland is open and their knock is eligible and it will only be open for another 36 hours and they will get them in and get their profile in and get them through. Guys, I mean, anyways, it's extremely irritating, but that's how it is. So Newfoundland, guys, it's unless the program reopens, and you will know it because it will be all over YouTube, of course, it will be all over Facebook groups, of course, but that's just about it. Now let's come to the other provinces, which people keep talking about. Manitoba, British Columbia, Yukon, Nunavut, Northwest Territories. Who else have I forgotten? New Brunswick, and I think I've forgotten one more. That's it, right? We are done with all. Quebec, of course, Quebec. How can we forget Quebec? Quebec, I will not talk about because that is a separate immigration program altogether. One of the ways you come to Canada through the federal immigration program is by expressing intent not to live in Quebec, because Quebec has a separate program. So that's a different ball game. But very, very briefly, in order to have a good shot in Quebec, you either need to have work experience, job offer, studied in Quebec, and probably have good French skills, language skills. Then there is a possibility that Quebec might work for you. But keep that aside. Manitoba needs you to have connection to the province. If you have no connection to that province, you cannot apply. You cannot even create your profile on Manitoba. What is a connection? Connection means past work experience, job offer, friend, relative who lives in Manitoba. Friend will also give you points and you will become eligible, but the points are so less that the points that you get after getting a friend in Manitoba doesn't really take you anywhere, and the score cutoff is extremely high anyways. So Manitoba keeps you out. British Columbia has a requirement that you should have a job offer from an employer in BC. Okay, and then there are several other factors as well. In order for you to be eligible, they have a separate grid point. They have a separate draws that happen. They pick the best profiles, again, issue them invitations and so on and so forth. So British Columbia is not happening. Last year, again, there was a big bang about Yukon, that Yukon is this and Yukon is calling everybody go Yukon, Yukon, Yukon. Nobody gave you that insight that you need a job offer from an employer in Yukon. And they only had a very, very few, I think 20 or 50 slots open. But again, just like everybody on YouTube, including me, we all want to do is we want to sort of break the news first, get more views, like we're going to be rolling in dollars, but it doesn't work, right? So Yukon, again, for the record, you need a job offer from an employer in Canada. Northwest Territories, you need a job offer from an employer in Canada. Not even in Canada, in that particular province. Nunavut doesn't have an immigration program. So that goes. And coming back to this part of the Canadian map, Atlantic provinces, we already spoke about PEI, Prince Edward Islands, Nova Scotia I spoke to you about, Newfoundland I spoke to you about, and last one remaining is New Brunswick. Now, New Brunswick, that is one province that we can talk a bit about in terms of hopes and options. New Brunswick occasionally conducts information session and job fairs across the world, okay, in different parts of the world. If you are, and you should, that is one thing, if you're ever interested, you should keep an eye, because I'm in Dubai and, I think about last month, they conducted a virtual information session. Pre-pandemic, they would conduct physical information sessions. Now, because it's pandemic and all, so they're doing virtual sessions. They identified certain knock codes. They put the information out, people who registered, then the ones whose resumes they received, they invited them. The ones who were invited were then interviewed, or basically they were invited to attend the information session. After that, whoever they felt they really were interested in their profiles, those were individually invited to then create their profile on the New Brunswick website and then apply for a nomination. But apart from that, you will need a job offer. Okay, so information session, if you keep your eyes open and if that becomes a prospect option, then you can look at. One that I have forgotten about and I did not speak to you about is Modern. Now, Modern is a small community in Manitoba. In Modern, they have certain occupation codes, but the quota is very, very small. I think they have 50 to 100 quota per year. That is the number of families that they invite per year. But if your occupation is listed in demand in that particular community, then you should look that out. You should check it out. Apply to them. It's a very simple, straightforward process, not very technical. They will conduct a Skype interview with you. They want to check if you are serious about coming and living in Modern. And if they do accept your application, they will endorse your nomination. You will then be able to apply to Manitoba. Manitoba will give you the nomination because Modern comes in Manitoba. And then Manitoba will give you the nomination and then you will be able to apply for your PR. So check Modern out. A lot of people don't tell you about it. A lot of people don't think about it. But Modern is a very prospective small community, but a very, very small quota of people, a very small quota in the numbers that they put out. But worth checking it out. Now, that is all that I have about PNPs. Yes, two more that I'll talk about: AIPP and RNIP. RNIP is Rural Northern Immigration Pilot. AIPP is Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. Guys, no matter what anybody tells you, you need a job offer from an employer who will get it endorsed by the province. Okay, that is something which you should know. If you do not get a job offer, you will not be eligible to apply for that program, regardless of what anybody tells you. Don't believe me, don't believe anybody else. Go check out the official website. Everything is listed in detail in a very simple language. Do not get cheated. Please save yourself, save your money. I'm repeating this again and again and again. So this is basically your option of provinces, PNPs. So everybody who talks about PNP का option बता दो, PNP के option लगा लेंगे, बस लगा लेंगे नहीं, लगना चाहिए. So that is PNP for you. What are the other options you have? The other option that you have, which is the cheapest. Now this is PNPs. This is for people who are eligible, who can get the scores. And if you are smart enough, you will check your eligibility. And if everything works for you, then you probably will be able to get through. Let me get this down. Okay. Now, what about the rest of you? Scores are less, age is going up, and then there are YouTubers who are saying 45 ki age mein aa jao Canada, 40 ki age mein aa jao Canada. I got a student visa, you will also get it. All that junk that is out there. So let's deal with that and tell you why it's going to be either very expensive for you or two, it's luck by chance. So first, very cheap option, but which needs a lot of effort from you, lot of time from you, is learning French. Whether you like it or not, French is a second language in Canada, second official language, and Canada is encouraging francophones. For people who do follow the news and what's happening in Canada right now, the new immigration pathways that were started, there was a pathways for people who were English speaking, and then there were pathways for people who were French speakers. English speaking pathway had an intake limit of 90,000 applications. French speaking intake had no limit. Can you imagine? No limit. And it is open right until November. So until November, anybody who was in Canada, whether you were a student, whether you were an essential worker, if you can score CLB 5 in French, my friend, you are on your way to becoming a permanent resident. I mean, it couldn't have become easier, right? But that is what French can do for you. If Canada is your dream, if you want to pursue the dream to Canada, learn French. It takes time. I mean, until now, I cannot score more than 2 words. And I mean, I can only say merci beaucoup and bonjour, and that's it. I can't go past that. But if you have an affinity towards languages, if you really think you can work hard, well, hello, you can score in IELTS. Maybe you can give it a hard shot and score something in French. CLB 7, CLB 8, CLB 9 in French can get you amazing scores, additional CRS scores. For a lot of you who studied French in your school, who studied French in their college, who did study French but gave it up, well, this could be a chance for you to take it up again. As far as French is concerned, it can give you significant benefit as far as express entry is concerned. Obviously, you can get almost 50, 60 additional CRS points. That's a lot of points, okay? You can get 50, 60 CRS points if you could score in French. Again, the points grid is available on CIC website if you want to. But let me give you a pro tip for people who are struggling at 460s and are not able to get to those, very important Ontarios or whatever. If you can score CLB 7 in French speaking and French listening, these two are relatively easier than reading and writing. So if you can score CLB 7 in French speaking and French listening, it will give you 3 and 3, 6 additional points. Add that to your score, and it probably jumps you, pushes you ahead of the queue. From some of the people who I've spoken to, some of the people who I know who did, explore this option, and they've been very lucky, and probably a couple of them I can see they've commented as well, and they have messaged. They got lucky with those 6 points, and it took them between 2 to 4 months to crack this. All right. Now, again, it varies from one person to another person. It doesn't have to apply to everybody, but if it does apply to you, maybe you can look at French as a second option. I mean, French as a second language as an option. Not only do you get benefit in terms of your express entry, it has a huge benefit when it comes to Saskatchewan. In Saskatchewan, if you can score in Saskatchewan, if you can score in French, and let me quickly open the scores and tell you how much you get before I get it wrong there, because this is for people who are trying to get those extra points for, let's say you're at 68, how do you get to 70? You're at 67, 66, how do you get to 70, 70 plus? Or even if you're at 70, how do you get to further up? Well, if you score CLB 4 in French, you can get 2 points. So if you're at 68, you want to get to 70, the best way to do it is CLB 4. I mean, come on, CLB 4, it'll get you 2 points. CLB 5 gets you 4 points. CLB 6 gets you 6 points. CLB 7 in French will get you 8 points. CLB 8 in French will get you 10 additional points. Now that is huge. Now, if you can do that, well, then French, then Saskatchewan becomes a great option for you to walk through. After French, if French is not something which you're comfortable with, I mean, if you're not comfortable with IELTS and English, probably French is not something which you want to talk about. What are your other options? Then now we come to the expensive bit of things where you have to spend money. So you have to think before you do that. One is, and I do not want to promote that. I do not want to say that this is something which you should try, but this is happening. People fall into this trap, and it happens more often than not. And this is job offers. What I'm talking about, job offers, technically you should secure by talking to the employer directly, and the employer should make you a genuine job offer because they think your skill sets are required. They couldn't find somebody in Canada. But more often than not, in a lot of parts of the world, including in Dubai, there are consultants and agents out there who are openly, you go to Instagram and you put Canada job offer, and you will see people's names and addresses and everything who are selling job offers. And I actually went into one of the consultants agents over here 2 days back, acting as if I wanted to go to Canada, and my age is 50, and they told me I'm eligible. I told them I only have a bachelor's degree, I have a CLB 8, and they told me I'm eligible, which is bull rubbish, because I am not. At my age and my scores, I am not eligible. I cannot score 67 points, but they made me eligible. They told me I'm eligible, and they sold me a job offer. Okay, this job offer for 50 points and the job offer for 200 points. Both are available. For one, they were asking me for $45,000, and for other, they were asking me for $80,000. I have reported them to ICCRC and to Canadian Immigration. I have reported 5 other consultants who are here. I've also reported their details, but my reporting them doesn't make any difference because Canada does not have jurisdiction outside Canada. IRCC, ICCRC, they do not have jurisdiction outside Canada. So all these guys will continue to fool people, continue to there are so many of them who I've met while I've been doing consultations, and I've met people who are in Dubai, and they have, And I have met so many people. There was not one person who had anything positive to say about any consultant in Dubai or in Middle East. Okay, nothing, absolutely nothing. They all told me they've all been fooled. They've all been given all kinds of offer. They've all been told some PNP or the other will work for them. They've all been given all kinds of beautiful, dreams that have been established for them. And job offers, obviously, they're all looking to be sold job offers. They've been told pay later. Tell me something. Why would anybody ask you to pay later? I mean, there has to be something there, right? Because, for example, let's say I have a genuine job offer that I want to sell. Let's say, for example, hello, I know the value of the job offer. I know that I can get a customer for it out in the market very quickly. Why will I give it to you for free? Or why will I tell you that, pay me later? Why? Number one. Number two, some of them will sell it to you for cheap. Why? Okay, when I say cheap, what do I mean by cheap? Everything has a market price, right? And it is controlled by demand and supply. As much as it is illegal to buy a job offer, and I keep saying that because if you get caught, you are committing misrepresentation. That is 5 years of ban, and of course, application being refused. But let's talk about the things that are actually happening. So even if there is a genuine job offer where there is a market for it, where people are doing it out there, and yes, Canada is trying to clamp down. That's why a lot of audits are happening on the employers who have sold job offers for Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. There are agents and consultants who have sold job offers for AIPP. They are all under investigation. They're all being checked. That's why as of right now, AIPP job offer endorsements do not happen quickly. They take time. Okay. So similarly, if there is a market for job offers, and if there is a price in the market for $40,000, why will somebody sell it to you for 20 or 10 or for $5,000? Why? Think. There has to be. How can it cost him let me give you a breakdown. How much does it cost for a job offer? If you go to a consultant or a lawyer in Canada to process an LMIA, labor market impact assessment, the consultants and lawyers have a fee. A consultant charges, a lawyer would charge the employer to process or handle the LMIA application. There is a fee to it. Okay, and the fee will range anywhere from 5,000 Canadian dollars to 10,000 Canadian dollars, depending on who the consultant is, etc., or who the lawyer is. Then there is an application fee of $1,000, and then you have to advertise in the newspapers and elsewhere, at least in 3 different medias to sort of, and then you have to go through the whole process. There is a cost attached to getting an LMIA. Why will somebody sell it to you for cheaper than that cost? Think before you part with your money. Then the next one is when you get all these kind of fake job offers, which are giving you administrative assistant salary of $10,000. Hello? Engineers are not getting paid $10,000 a month. How is an admin assistant getting paid $10,000 a month? Or you haven't been interviewed, but you have a job offer. You did not even contact anybody, but you have a job offer. You just sent a resume and there is a job offer. How? Read through it. Call the employer. Sometimes the numbers that are given to you for the employer are also fake. So independently research the employer. If you know somebody in Canada, have them visit the employer and verify your job offer. There is too much of fraud happening. Only you guys are to blame yourselves if you actually lose your money with something like this. Now, so job offers, please be careful, be very, very smart about it. Do not fall into these traps. So what are the other options? Now, if you genuinely want a job offer, it's going to be very difficult. Okay, to be very honest, all these things that promote about how to find a job, 10 best jobs, I will give you a job, study here and you can get a job, talk to this consultant. If it was this easy, wouldn't everybody be getting a job by now? Would there be so much of problem in Canada itself to find a job? Would there be people complaining that I am in Canada, but I can't find a job? Would all that be happening? Think about it, right? Again, now I would like you to think about from the perspective of an employer. You are an employer. I'm asking you, if you want to hire somebody within the next 3 months, 6 months, okay, and why would you then give a job to somebody who's outside Canada? Okay, the only reason that will happen, or the only thing that makes some sense here, is that if the candidate has an exceptional skill set which you cannot otherwise find in Canada, or which is very difficult to find, very difficult to source. And who are such people? Such people are specific cuisine cooks, sushi, or specific cuisine or specific bakers, or IT, information technology, specific skill sets, or artificial intelligence, data scientists, or some very, very specific new technologies or occupations which you just cannot find. Okay, then it makes sense for an employer to make you the job offer. Or second, you are relentless. You go after it like a madman. Okay, I know of one person, or at least actually I know of two people who made it their mission in life to apply to 100 jobs every single day. So they would go online, they would go to job bank, job portals, and of course LinkedIn. Every single day they would go and apply to 100 jobs every single day. So can you imagine what that would do for them? 100 jobs a day, 30 days is 3,000. They did that for 6 months. Okay, again, kudos to them, perseverance, really at it, but both of them succeeded. They did actually find a job. So to say that you can never find a job is untrue. You can get lucky. There are genuine employers out there who are looking for people, who do wish to bring in people, but the number is very, very small. It's very, very rare. So before you fall into the trap of somebody selling you an AIPP job offer or an RNIP job offer or an LMIA job offer, you will buy an LMIA and do what? 50 points? What is 50 points going to do with your score if it's only 350? Your CRS score is 350. You will buy an LMIA and your score is going to become 400. Then what? You will come to Canada. This job offer is fake. When I'm saying fake means there is no job. You come to Canada and then you will illegally work on a cash job. All these lies and all these fraudulent activities that you're doing, if any of them catches up with you, hello, all the money is gone and you're going to get a 5-year ban and then goodbye Canada. Okay, think before you do all of this. Now, what are your other options? Student. And remember I said that options that are going to be there, I'm going to talking about, are going to be expensive. So by first expensive, I was speaking about job offers, people who are looking to buy job offers. Expensive, very expensive, ridiculously expensive, and of course fraudulent and something which is illegal. Second, which is legal, absolutely welcomed, is study visas or people who want to come to Canada as a student. Now I've seen some YouTubes which talk about, I am not saying you cannot get a study visa approved at the age of 45. I know of one person who got it approved at the age of 54. So all those people who think that age is the restriction or age is the criteria, it's not. Age is not your criteria as far as applying for study permit is concerned. First of all, as and how you mature, getting the right college, getting the right program is going to be a bit of a challenge. Let's say you get it, because obviously colleges do accept mature students at the end of the day. Proving to IRCC that you are a genuine student, you genuinely wish to come to study to Canada, that is going to be of prime importance. Okay, Canada, as we know it, is one of the most difficult processes or the countries when it comes to study visas. The refusal rate is extremely high, and if you belong to a country, India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, it's going to be difficult. And then if you're living in the Middle East, for example, you're an Indian living in Dubai, you're an Indian living in Saudi, you're a Pakistani living in India or Dubai or elsewhere, it's even more difficult for you. Why? Because you're now living in a country which is not your home country. So your ties which will pull you back. So what is the first premise of a study visa? The first premise of a study visa is that you will go back to your home country. You will not make Canada your illegal home, or you will not overstay. That is the basis of your, that is the entire basis of your application being assessed. So IRCC is always looking out for ways that they do not want you to stay illegally. They want to know if you're a genuine student. So for you to be able to prove that why you want to study in Canada, first of all, why do you wish to study the program that you wish to study? Why this particular college? Where is the career progression? I mean, you would have studied X, some kind of a program before, then you worked in a different profession. Now you want to study something else. Why? There's a lot of why. If you're able to explain all of this in a satisfactory manner and provide documentary evidence to support your application, in 8 out of 10 cases, you will be successful. All right. So you can get study visas. That is not a problem. Why do I say 8 out of 10 in spite of, providing everything, and why there are still that 20% out there? The reason for that is study permit applications have a degree of subjectivity. Now, what do I mean by subjectivity? Subjectivity, for example, an express entry application, a PR application is objective. It's by the book. When I'm saying by the book means this is the law, this is the requirement, this is what you have to provide, this is what you have to prove, off you go. Approved, okay? In study permit application, there is no broad directive as to this you need to provide. Therefore, there comes a subjectivity in play, whereby a visa officer has their feelings. I do not feel this person will return back to his home country. That feeling will kill your application. How do you avoid the feel, or the feel which goes negative in your application? You avoid the feel by providing so much documentation, by providing so much evidence, by providing such a strong application that feel is killed off, okay? And in spite of all that, if you get a refusal, and if you feel that refusal is not correct, and the way to know that is by ordering your GCMS notes or CAPES notes, challenge that decision in the federal court, and in most cases, you will get a positive response after that. It's a difficult one, it's a long one, it's an expensive one, but it's an option if Canada is your dream. So study permit applications. Now again, another tip for people who want to come to Canada to study, but the final destination is permanent residence. If you're going to be choosing 1-year program, think hard, how does that 1-year program help you? 1-year program only adds 15 points in your CRS score. Will that make a difference? No, probably not, depending on your age, depending on how the whole thing is placed out. 1-year study program will give you only 1 year of work permit. Will that work, once you have completed your Canadian work experience, it will give you 35 points if you're married. So 15 plus 35, now 50 points. If your score is only 400 today, and you apply for a study permit, get it approved, does it make sense? Because all you will add is 50 points, and 2 years later, you would be 2 years older, and hence you would have lost 10 more points. Your score is going to be 440, net. Does it make sense? So if you are choosing to study in Canada for something like this, and your age is not on your side, you're a mature student, don't go with the 1-year program, go for a master's program, which is a progression, or go with at least a 2-year program, which will then give you a 3-year work permit, which will then give you a 5-year plan for to make your dreams come true, to make this whole thing happen. So, and 2-year is always more justifiable in terms of how serious you are versus a 1-year program, which may or may not be a good career path in your progression of how you're choosing to study and then work. So don't always accept because most of these education consultants that you're dealing with in any country, most of them, there are some smart ones out there, but then most of them don't really give you good advice as to what kind of program you should choose, okay? As far as they're concerned, they will get the commission out of the college if you succeed. If you don't, they're not going to lose anything. But it's up to you. If you've already done bachelor's and master's, and you're going to do a 1-year college certificate or a college diploma, you're taking a step down. You should choose a diploma which has, at best, a minimum requirement of a degree. Okay, then that is a progression that becomes easier for you to explain. Keep in mind, a visa officer spends no more than 4 to 5 minutes on your application when they're assessing your study permit application. Okay, only 4 to 5 minutes. So your application has to be screaming out loud in terms of documentation, in terms of information to the officer to basically get you a positive response. So prepare with a lot of thought in your application. It's not a joke. You get 1 refusal, you get 2nd refusal, you get 3rd refusal. After that, it won't make sense. And do not rush to apply after you get a refusal. Order your GCMS notes, order your CAPES notes, understand what was the exact reason for your refusal, address that, and then reapply if you have to. That's it. There are no other options to give you. There is nothing else to tell you. I mean, I've already told you so much about what you should do, what you shouldn't do. This is basically the bitter truth. Canada is not for everybody. Maybe you should be, if all that I have told you doesn't make sense to you, studying in Canada for 2 years is going to cost you $40,000 approximately average for your college tuition fees plus your living expenses. That's $50,000-$60,000 is what you will be looking to spend in Canada. Do you want to be spending that money? Do you have that money handy? Do you want to look at a different option elsewhere? Maybe wherever you are, maybe you can, invest this money in a business. Maybe you can invest in something else. Maybe you go find something else to do. Maybe look at other options in your life around you. look at a better opportunity maybe elsewhere. Canada is not the end of the world, guys. I mean, I know I'm saying something which is beyond, which is contrary to what I otherwise should be doing, because I am, after all, an immigration consultant at the end of the day, right? But the idea is not about promoting my services. The idea is to tell you that you have to be a smarter person. As I said, Canada is not for everybody. And this is the bitter truth. If it doesn't make sense to you, don't waste your time. Look at other options, look at other things in life, look at, doing something else elsewhere. And probably you will have a better success rate, better chance of succeeding. And maybe someday you will meet me somewhere and you will thank me for it, okay? At the end of the day, Canada is only going to invite an X number of people each year. As it is, even the eligible candidates who are right now in express entry pool, they're upset, they're angry, they're frustrated because of this pandemic. Federal skilled worker draws are not happening. All program draws are not happening, and they are being held back. Trust me, I can absolutely understand your frustration, but the decision makers, whoever they are and wherever they are, and they have a reason to do what they're doing, they cannot always communicate the reasons. They cannot always come out and tell you in the open that this is why we are not doing it, how we are doing it. Which country does that? Okay. But in spite of that, Canada has made they've taken a lot of steps to at least give the benefit to people who are inside Canada, which tells you that if you are outside Canada, you will always be at a disadvantage than a person who is inside Canada. If you're inside Canada, as a student, you get extra points. For work experience, you get extra points. You will have preferences on PNPs. If you get a job offer for a PNP, it doesn't need an LMIA. Lots of chances, lots of options. So you should find a way of getting into Canada, and one of them, legal way, an obvious prospective way, is coming to Canada as a student. So if you are deciding between paying an unscrupulous, fraudulent, I'm trying to think of not expletive here, but if you're trying to think of if you're trying to pay money for a job offer to a consultant, don't do that. Instead, invest on yourself. Invest in your own education. Come to Canada, come to Canada as a student. Spend that money on yourself, on your own education. It will take you a long way. Maybe you will, now this you will have Canadian education that will then give you a head start in the job market whenever you do start working. It will also lead you faster. It will be a legal way. Your children are eligible to study for free in public schools. Your spouse is eligible to apply for an open work permit. It opens a lot of options. It's a legal way of doing it. It's the right way of doing it, instead of buying those unscrupulous job offers or illegal, or opting the illegal way of getting into the country. As I said, bitter truth, ugly truth, but I want you to know that it's not going to be an easy journey, especially if you have crossed a certain age. No matter what people tell you, I'm not saying it's impossible. Don't get me wrong. It is possible. You need to make up your mind. Do you really want to put time, effort, money behind this? If you want to do that, ahlan wa sahlan. Ahlan wa sahlan, habibi, you're welcome. Do it. Okay, I'm with you. I will support you as much as I can through the social media, through our Facebook, or wherever we can. But do it the right way. Okay, that's number one. And be knowledgeable. Do your research. Understand the system. Understand the process. There are options. There are those things. You have to stay abreast of everything. As in, the new programs open, you have to be on top of your things and get it and submit your application. And hopefully one fine day we will be sharing a cup of coffee in Canada. That's all from me, folks. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining it, and I will see you next time. Good night.